We are here now with the CEO and chair of Baker Hughes, Lorenzo Simonelli. Lorenzo, thanks for joining us here at the OPEC seminar.
Brian, great to be with you.
You know, obviously we're here, we're talking about global growth. The world oil outlook is out in a few minutes. They're going to project faster than expected growth for all energy, maybe minus coal. But you've got this overarching theme of global concern around Iran. What has the mood been here so far? What does Baker Hughes get out of being here?
So I think the mood is pragmatic. Obviously, there's short-term volatility. We all see that. However, when you look at the macro longer term, and we'll see what the report says, I think the trend is toward energy demand continuing to increase, peak oil continuing to extend further into the 2030s, and there really being a need for the oil and gas industry and for production to increase over the long term. And so where there's short-term volatility, there's still a backdrop of long-term positive trends in the industry.
Yeah, and I know obviously we're at OPEC, which is the Organization for Petroleum Exporting Countries, but the transition has actually been a huge theme here. People don't realize that. Saudi Arabia spending tens of billions of dollars on solar, a little bit of wind, and mostly hydrogen. How big is the hydrogen and renewable opportunity for Baker Hughes?
Well, as an equipment provider and a technology company, we play a critical role in providing compressors, turbines, and the equipment that's required for hydrogen. In fact, today we already have a hydrogen-ready gas turbine. We already have compression that's utilized in facilities such as NEOM, which is a hydrogen facility. And we see hydrogen being part of the energy mix going forward. And you heard from Saudi Arabia, they're investing heavily, and we see Saudi Arabia playing a big role in hydrogen expansion in the future. It will take time, though.
I got a sneak peek at the world oil outlook. I don't want to reveal it, but I can say that there's an expectation of huge population and economic growth over the next 25 years. That's no surprise to anybody, by the way. Most of that growth coming from not the United States, not from Europe, what we call non-OECD nations. Talk to us about the Baker Hughes opportunity globally, and also if you're worried that the current policies in New York and Washington will hinder our renewables growth in the United States.
So Baker Hughes is very big internationally. In fact, 70% of the company is more on an international focus. And we see the trend, like you just said, with a lot of growth in Southeast Asia, looking at Latin America, looking at really the developing nations, Africa. And so that's where we're seeing a lot of our sales, a lot of our order potential. I don't think it's going to stop, though, the aspect of overall energy expansion across the globe, and also the potential for renewables also in the United States. When you look at,
is that good for you? I mean, what's your role, besides, we just talked about hydrogen, in anything else?
Well, for us, if you think about the equipment or the services that we provide, they're essential through the value chain of a molecule. So it can be a hydrogen molecule, it can be a CO2 molecule, it can be a natural gas molecule. So we play with the critical equipment and technology. So from a standpoint of Baker Hughes, all is good from an expansion perspective. And that's why we see a long-term positive trend and very positive for Baker Hughes.
Do you worry about some of the tax credit changes in the United States or the budget bill negatively impacting some of those aspects of your business?
As we look at what's just been introduced with the bill, we think that they've maintained a lot of the good aspects relative to some of the credits, and we think that there will be continued pipeline of project opportunities, and overall, we still see a consistent flow of projects.